Okay, working on the gasser here. Again, quick background. Past 3 oil changes, I've been losing oil. So I noticed it was black, and it's been that way for a little while. Didn't think a lot of it, but the bottom line is I decided to measure it about 3 oil changes ago, and it turned out that I put in 900 cc's of oil in the transmission, and I measured it when it came out. It was like 700 cc's. So I thought, well, where's it going? And then so I put another 900 in it, and then measured it again the next ride, thinking I would have 1100 out or a lot more, and another like 750 came out that time. And so I'm tipping the bike and moving it all around, and front end down, back end down, tipping it side to side, trying to get all the oil out, and no more oil comes out. So I'm like, well, we'll see what happens again. Sure enough, a third time, but 700 cc's the last time. So black oil, losing transmission oil, which shouldn't go anywhere, and it's spooging a lot. It's just spooges like crazy. So talked to my brother-in-law, his EC300, he has an 11 EC300. He said his oil goes in and comes out golden, so it's never been black. Looks great. He's never measured it, but his oil always looks good. It doesn't change colors. So I looked at the clutch pack. The clutch is deteriorating. What else could it be? I'm no mechanic. So I mentioned this to Bob at North Tahoe Motorsports. I bought several parts from him, the Wassner top end kit, I think the Trailtech headlight, the reed valves, some other parts from him. Just super helpful and super good resource. He's one of the oldest GasGas dealers in the nation, and had an eBay store, has an eBay store. So I just emailed him and said, am I on the right track here? I did a leak test, hooked up my leak tester, and I'm getting air out of the transmission filler hole, and I think I have a breach in either the main gasket between the 2 case halves or the right crank seal. And I said, I plugged all the holes. I said, did I miss any? And he says, yeah, you can't forget about the right side power valve cover. So I plugged this hole and the exhaust port. Obviously had the leak tester in the top where the spark plug goes in, and then clamped this left side power valve cover drain hose, and I just clamped that so that wasn't leaking. And then he said, don't forget about this right side. And I was like, oh, of course, because air is going to leak out here, go down here, and air is going to come out the transmission filler hole. So he suggested I pull this actuator rod and then just put a plug right here in the hole that goes down here, and then put the power valve cover back on, and that would seal it off, and then listen for a leak. And he also suggested pulling this right power valve cover off. So anyway, I did this a little bit different. I used just a regular rubber plug from the hardware store. Looks like this. And I just pulled the power valve flapper out, a little bit smaller than that. I think it measured 25 millimeters across at this outer part. I bought an assortment of those so I'd have several sizes in case I needed to pull this arm. So I plugged that. Also, air comes out this hole for this retaining bolt that holds the power valve flapper in, so make sure you put that back in and tighten it down. And I just squished this in here. I'll probably have to drill a screw in it to pull it out because I push it in there pretty far. Not too worried about it right now, though. Okay, so I'm really thankful for his advice and helping me remember that. And he also suggested I check this right crank seal before I go replace and split the cases, and just to make sure, see if that's the problem or not. So as far as the other plugs go, these are they're just expansion plugs. These are from AutoZone. This is the 1 7/8 to 2 inch that I put in the intake here. Obviously pulled the carburetor out. I started to buy one just to put in this metal part, but this one just slipped in. I just tightened the bolt and tightened the clamp there onto it. That makes a good seal. This one in the front here, hopefully this is coming out in my video. This is the smaller one, 1 5/8 to 1 3/4, goes in the front hole. Okay, this is just a Harbor Freight leak down tester. I've used it on my CRF and used it on the cars, and just it's not. I'm sure it's not as accurate as a Snap-on or whatever, but it's doing the job for me today, I think. So what I'm doing is hooking this up and just running this up to about. Put my light down here. Running up to about 5 or 6 psi. I read somewhere that somebody said don't go over that. Start compromising other seals. So what I'm having to do is hold this little, for lack of a better word, I don't know what it is. It's like a sleeve bearing that goes on the inside of the seal. You can see the seal is this golden part here that goes around. And so spray a little soap water here. And then looking for a leak. And as you can see around the bottom there, hopefully this is coming out in the camera, it's bubbling like crazy. So I don't know if that's like crazy. Those are really tiny bubbles. I don't know if that's a big leak or not. When I can't hold this a lot of pressure on this, even 6 psi is a lot of pressure. When I let up on this sleeve bearing, or whatever it is, you can see it's leaking around the inside of that, and I would expect that. But the nut that goes on here should be holding enough pressure on here to seal it against the little O-ring that's at the base of this shaft right here. So there's an O-ring at the base of the shaft right against the crankshaft bearing. We'll look at that in just a minute. So if I can keep enough pressure on that, then it's just leaking around the seal. So I guess my question for Bob is, hopefully you'll look at this video for me, Bob, and just give me an idea. Is that enough leaking around there? I'm moving it back and forth. Is that enough leaking to cause a problem? I know 6 psi probably isn't very much. The cylinder, I'm sure, makes much more pressure than that. And as that higher pressure and that higher vacuum pulling oil into the crankcase. So I don't know if that's a big enough leak. I've got it apart. I'm going to change the seal anyway. It looks like the seal, I measured this with my dial indicator. My dial caliper, and it's 3 millimeters inside the edge here, and it's symmetrical all the way around. It's 3 millimeters all the way around, so it's not like it's cocked or distorted. Okay, so we'll take the pressure off. Let the pressure kind of lift this out of here. So this little collar has a little taper on the inside, and that goes down. All right, and then may not be visible here, as visible as I'd like it, but on the inside here, there's an O-ring, and that O-ring goes all the way around the bottom of the shaft. I mean, it looks good. I might go ahead and order that from Go Fasters and just change that while I have it apart. And I'm not sure that that's a leak source, though. So, Bob, if you could comment on this for me, that would be really helpful. Okay, so we're removing the right crankshaft seal. As you can see, I destroyed it. So this is what the seal looks like when it's in. Okay, so I just took this hook, drove it through here, pulled out all the insides, including the spring and this part, and then just pulled it out with pliers. So all that's left is this metal ring here. All right. So I did that because I made the mistake initially of using my seal puller for cars, for wheel bearing seals, and initially had a piece of plastic, here it is, and guarding this edge here with the plastic, and I got the tool underneath the seal, or at least what I thought was under the seal, so don't make this mistake, and I got it too far under, and I'm actually under the crankcase lip there. Okay, so I was prying on that, and I marred the edge of my lip here, so I'm going to have to straighten that up with a little file very carefully and pack this with grease or something that I can clean out of there that'll catch any filings so it doesn't get on the bearings around the crank. And then I realized that this was going in too far behind the seal, and I didn't know that until after I pulled out this the actual rubber sealing part of it. So now I'm not going in too far and catching the inside of the crankcase. I'm going in just far enough to catch the inside of the seal. So learning experience for me. Hopefully you won't make the same mistake. And then I'm just using this little piece of plastic here to pry the tool, set the tool on, trying to stay off the crankshaft here so I don't mar that, and then just prying back gently, and it's sliding up nicely. So I'm just going to work my way around here, and hopefully this is coming out on the camera. Make sure I'm not on the crankshaft. Okay. And that there's plenty of plastic between my tool and the edge of the lip, of the crankcase lip. Okay, I'll come back around here to this side. Guess I need to do some right here, don't I? All right. Okay, there it is. Obviously destroyed. But that saved me from having to drill a hole in it and then putting a screw in it. I was worried about drilling a hole through this. It's not very wide, so it doesn't leave much room for a screw or even a small drill bit, and then getting metal shavings down in there. So I guess that was a compromise. Now I'll have to clean this part up right here. This collar is the part that slides over, and of course the seal runs on the outside of this. You can see it's made a little bit of wear in the collar, and it hasn't made a groove, or at least nothing I can feel. Okay, so here's the O-ring, and this O-ring, here's the 300cc engine, and this is 18, this is the O-ring, the right side crank seal, and 17 they call this a crankshaft bushing, and that's this part I've been talking about that I haven't had a good name for. And so we'll put the O-ring back in, and then install the seal, and then I think I'm going to lubricate the bushing. And just because it does have a nice little taper here, just lubricate it well and then slide it in, and then just lubricate it with some motor oil, and then we'll add these other parts. 12, they call it the ignition inertia, and then the primary drive, they call it a primary transmission crankshaft pinion nut or pinion gear, and then of course the nuts reverse. So got this off GasGas Rider. It's super resourceful. I think they said the manual is wrong. It has something like 40 or something foot-pounds, and it's something. It's just one of those nuts that you think should have a lot more than that. So we're going to put 72 foot-pounds on her, 98 newton meters on the crank pinion, and it's reverse thread, of course. So just keep that in mind. Okay, get this O-ring back on here. I'm just going to reuse it. It looks good. I was going to order one from Go Fasters, but it's just one of those things that I won't have it till next Friday, and it shouldn't be leaking around here anyway. It's not one of the leak culprits. So, okay. While I'm here, I can't make lateral play in this. So I can't make radial play or axial play. And then maybe I'm just not able to pull hard enough with my fingers. Okay, let's put the seal in. And I've gone through all my tool drawers, and I can't find a stupid socket that'll go over this part that's long enough that I'll be able to. So I've got a nice smooth hammer here. I don't know if this is even going to work or not, but it's the only option I have right now without going and buying another socket. Of course, my nice seal driver kit that I have won't work at all because of this crankshaft sticking out here. Okay, so how far do we put this in? I guess prior experience is you just push it in until it's flush with the lip here. The metal part is. Problem is this rubber part sticks up above, and the metal part of the seal, which may or may not be a problem because with this bushing here, it sticks up above the seal, of course. So the seal is going to be riding up here, and then nothing else should contact that. So I don't think that's a problem as far as contact goes. Do you put it in all the way? Do you put it in? It looks like I can take this little tip here and then slide it in here and catch the inside of the seal by pulling toward the camera, and then push down, and I bet that's 2 or 3 millimeters right there of space. So I could drive it in all the way until it seats against that, and it looks like that's kind of where they had it running on this bushing here. So we'll do that. At least a couple millimeters in, so. Actually, that's feeling bottomed right there. The pitch changed. Huh, okay. It's exactly at 3 millimeters. I might get stick it a little further here and just check it in a couple places. 3 millimeters. So we're right back at the right back where it was. Okay, we'll go ahead and get this sleeve back in. I want to lubricate this lip with a little bit of oil here. I'll go ahead and lube this up too, just so there's no, minimize the risk of damage in the seal. Okay, I'll just go ahead and spread a little bit in here just to help it slide a little bit easier on the crank seal. It's nice and smooth, there's no burrs, there's no metal left over. It's nice and clean in there. Okay, pretty precise fit there. Okay, there's the seal contact. We'll rotate it and spin it in. There it's seated. Okay, so what makes me think that I don't have, at least not a major leak between the two crankcase halves in that gasket is because I can let this pressure off here and let my pressure up on this, and it makes a nice, you can feel the air pressure pushing this up, so this sleeve up. So I think that if there was a big compromise somewhere else and it was leaking air out the between the crankcase halves and that gasket somewhere, it wouldn't be putting so much pressure on this right here. So I feel pretty confident about that. It makes me excited. As far as the leak down of this goes, this leak down tester is supposed to have high flow in order for it to show. You're supposed to put it up to so many PSI for it to show what percentage of leak you're getting. So I'm not using this as a leak tester to show what percentage of leak I have. Don't really care about that. I just want to put a little bit of pressure on the cylinder to see where it was leaking. So, okay, now for reassembly. Okay, woodruff key is here. See, and there's still bubbling coming around that seal. I don't know if you can see that bubbling right there on the inside of the sleeve. And what that tells me is if there was a big compromise somewhere else, that bubbling still wouldn't be there with the pressure off here. So there's still a little bit of pressure inside the case, inside the combustion chamber, and it's still leaking out right here. So hopefully I'm right. This is going to get a full rebuild this winter anyway. Thanks to North Tahoe Motorsports. Okay, got the woodruff key in. Now it's at a little bit of a cant, so let's take a little influencing device to go over the woodruff key. Oh, maybe not. Didn't take much at all, did it? Am I missing anything? So we're going to put this at 98 Newton meters because the 40 Newton meters mentioned in the manual, the guys on GasGas Rider were saying that some of them may have had their engines, or the engines start to make noise, and they took it apart and found out that this nut had come off where they had serviced it recently and torqued it to the spec. So we're going to put it down to 98 Newton meters. Cool. And I jacked my new gasket. Check that out. Pulling it apart. Tore it up. Right now I need the clutch parts. So just since we're here, some Loctite trash. Quick inspection of the clutch components. It's going to drip oil all over everything. Since we have the Revlock auto clutch in here, we can leave the, no, I can't. I'm going to take the hub out. Hub washer. Hub. So about 2 weeks ago I had this apart, just one ride ago actually, and I measured all the clutch plates, the fiber plates, and they're all still within factory spec. I thought, well, maybe the clutch is wearing out too fast, and that's what's making my oil black. But my oil was black long before I put the auto clutch in, and I'm losing transmission oil, so auto clutch doesn't make you lose transmission oil, I don't think. So again, start with a fiber, steel, fiber, steel. So that's 2 each. 3 fibers, 3 steels. And the steels were all within normal spec too, so 4 fibers, 4 steels, 5 fibers. All right, and 5 steels. And this ends with a steel, unlike a regular clutch pack, which is going to end with a fiber, because the Revlock auto clutch acts as a fiber, because it's got fiber here and fiber here. So, clunk. There we go.